Tata Motors Limited, an Indian multinational automotive manufacturing company and a subsidiary of the multi-billion-dollar Tata Group, manufactures both commercial and passenger vehicles in its factories located across India and abroad. Recognizing the need for safety as a basic part of its operations, Tata Motors follows stringent safety norms and takes relevant steps applicable in regulatory safety and health requirements in order to keep their employees protected from any injuries, for which Tata Motors have already established a set of safety standards like lockout tagout, work at height, permit to work, risk assessment, machine guarding, etc. As per its safety and health policy, Tata Motors makes it a point to constantly and continuously upgrade all its workshops across the country to the latest working standards with this intention. Efforts are put into workshops, making it a safe place to work. Milestones crossed in this journey till date. Collaboration with Castrol in November 2012. Minimum Mandatory Safety (MMS) standard for workshops launched in April 2013. Pilot implementation of MMS standard at 5 workshops in June 2013. Implementation of MMS standards at 100 major workshops in March 2014. Train the Trainer program 2014. Rollout of MMS standard in 30% of workshops, March 2015. Rollout of MMS standard in all the workshops, August 2015. Safety Champion Training Program, June 2015. Jagruti, Safety Awareness Campaign for Workshop Managers, Jan 2016 to December 2016. The minimum mandatory standards, 17 safety aspects have been prescribed to be carried out in all the workshops across the country over a period of time. The objective of MMS standard is to ensure that all the activities at Tata Motors workshop are carried out in a responsible manner. The workshop should ensure that business risk is adequately covered, its corporate reputation protected, and there is no injury to employees or visitors through application of a set of minimum safety, health, and environment standards. To decrease the risk of fatality potential, 7 control measures under the name of Critical 7 Safety Controls are derived from MMS standard. Minimum Mandatory Safety (MMS) Standards. MMS standard guides its users on safety at workshops through 3 self-explanatory sections: Safety Expectations, Implementation Guide, Annexures, Checklist for implementing these expectations. Tata Motors has its own SHE policies signed by the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director to show their commitment towards safety, health, and environment. Similarly, their workshop must also have its own SHE policy signed by its topmost authority. Workshops can develop their own SHE policy by using Annexure 1 in the MMS standard. Steps should be taken to explain the intention of safety policy to all the employees of the workshop. Signed SHE policy needs to be placed in prominent places like reception, manager's cabin, customer waiting area, working areas, and cafeteria. SHE structure. All the workshops should have a safety management system which covers all safety requirements. A senior manager of the operations management should take up the role as SHE coordinator. The role of the SHE coordinator is to guide the employees and management regarding the safety requirements, whereas each employee is solely responsible for their safety. SHE committee should be formed involving experienced and proactive employees from all the departments. The head of the workshop should be the chairman of this committee. She report, Annexure 2A, should be discussed at every safety committee meeting without fail. Safety committee should ensure that the points discussed in the meeting should be minuted according to Annexure 2B. She coordinator should ensure the quality of meetings and ensure that the audit findings are discussed in the meetings. Action points are derived and are completed in defined timelines. Legal requirements. Workshop management should mandatorily ensure that they are in compliance with all applicable legal laws of the land. Legal permissions may change from state to state. All applicable legal requirements like Factories Act, Pollution Control Board consents, etc. Sample legal registry, Annexure 3, should be filled with applicability and compliance status of applicable legal requirement. Maintain proof documents of legal requirement. Updating mechanism should be put up for complying with any change in legal requirement. Child labor below 18 should not be employed. Risk assessment. Risk assessment should be done for the entire workshop and care should be taken to ensure all the activities being done are covered and probable risk against all the activities are listed. Wherever additional control measures are required, target date for the same should be fixed and supervised for proper implementation. Risk assessment exercise should be done and reviewed in groups. Machine guarding. Rotating parts of a machine have the potential to cause severe injuries in workplace. Hence, guards are essential for protection. The machine should be thoroughly concealed in order to prevent injuries. Machines like air compressor, radial drilling machine, bench grinder, high pressure water pump at washing bay, portable hand grinder, and wheel balancing machine with rotating parts. These machines should be evaluated for their machine guarding efficiency as per the checklist given in Annexure 4 in a periodic manner. For the non-compliance points identified, an action plan must be prepared, implemented and reviewed not less than once in 6 months. Electrical safety. Electrical hazards generally are one of the most riskier factors in the workshop, which can lead to major injuries, at times can even be fatal. To avoid employees from getting subjected to these hazards, all the workshops must install Electrical Leakage Circuit Breaker (ELCB) or Residual Circuit Current Breaker (RCCB) of 30 mA capacity for electrical connections at washing area and at power source or spot or MIG welding in the body shop area. All the electrical equipment must be earthed to properly constructed earth pits. Lightning arrestor must be installed on the top of the workshop to protect from lightning strikes and should be connected to the earth pit. All electrical panels dealing with 250 volt and above must be labeled with appropriate danger signs. High tension electrical and insulation mat should be provided. Electrical connections near the washing bay should be kept at a distance for avoiding the splashing of water onto it, and the equipment used at washing area should be provided with double earthing with a clearly visible green color wire. LOTO, lockout and tagout, should be implemented while performing the maintenance of any electrical equipment. Electrical power source must be locked and key must be kept with the maintenance person. The person should have a personalized tag with the name of the maintenance person on it and must be tagged on the power source of the equipment, and only then should the maintenance work be commenced. After the completion of the work, maintenance person shall remove the tag himself. Nobody, apart from the maintenance person himself, is allowed to touch the power source when the tag is put on it. Vehicle low-tow. In case of congestion or the vehicle is parked on the slope, the vehicle should be in neutral. Parking brake should be on. Key should be removed and the wheel chokes should be placed at the front right and rear left of the tires. Operation controls. Permit to work. For all the non-routine works that are performed in the workshop, either by employees or outside vendors, authorized work permit must be taken from the management of the workshop. The task must be categorized under work at height, hot work, and working on electrical or machines. Depending upon that, the applicable conditions must be fulfilled before start of the work. The management should not allow the work to start without fulfilling the mandatory requirements. Once job is done, all work permits should be taken back by the management after visiting the job site and ensuring that everything is properly set. Arc welding machines. Safety and health precautions to be taken by the operator while working with arc welding machine. The welder must wear respiratory mask, welding shield, leather gloves and fireproof clothing. There should be no cuts or damages in the electrical connection wire. A fire extinguisher must be kept handy. While welding, all flammable materials must be kept away from the cylinder. Oxyacetylene gas cutting should not be allowed. As per the Tata Motors standards, workshops should adopt plasma gas cutting. Cylinder must be placed in inclined position and secured with a chain. Flashback arresters must be installed at the cylinder end and the torch end. Grinding machines. Grinding wheels are usually safe and necessary tools, but unfortunately, they are breakable. The key requirements to ensure safe use of grinding wheels are to wear the required personal protective equipment for eyes, face, safety shoes, and an electrical insulation mat. To ensure the gap between the tool rest and face of the wheel is not more than 1/8 of an inch and the tool rest is securely fastened to avoid the slippage of tool while performing the job. This is to prevent the work from being jammed between the wheel and the tool rest. Slips, trips and falls. Good housekeeping should be maintained at all times to minimize injuries. Grease or oil spillages should be removed immediately using sawdust or grease or oil removing chemicals. Stairs and walkways should be well maintained and free from any slip or trip hazard. Clear demarcation should be made for pits to avoid falls. Handling hazardous waste. Hazardous waste such as used oil filter, used lead acid batteries, soaked materials like used sawdust or cotton waste commonly seen at workshops need to be disposed properly. Waste should be segregated and recycled within 90 days. All hazardous waste should be disposed as per the hazardous waste rules and only to be sent to authorized recyclers. All employees handling lubricants should be provided with the requisite personal protective equipment. Environment statement should be submitted once every year to the respective pollution control board. Incident reporting and investigation. It is to ensure reporting of any incidents including the near miss category where no injury or loss has happened do not go unreported as it can result in major incident or fatality in future. Definitions of incidents. Near miss, an event that could have resulted in an incident. Dangerous occurrence. This is an event that leads to damage to property, but no injuries or deaths. Minor injury. Injured person took rest and came back to work on the immediate following day. Major injuries. Injured person couldn't work on the next immediate day. Fatality. Workplace death. Henrich Safety Triangle. There is a possibility of one fatality for every 3 lakh unsafe acts and conditions that are committed or occurred in the workplace. These unsafe acts and conditions include removing the guard, slippery floor, not wearing PPE, bypassing defined procedures, etc. The reported incidents should be recorded in separate file and should be discussed in the SHE committee meeting for remedial actions and ensured implementation. All the major incidents should be investigated by SHE committee members for the root cause of the incident. These major incidents have to be shared with TML representative without any delay. Lifting of vehicles. Safety is a major consideration when it comes to lifting and working under a vehicle weighing several tons. Ensure that all lifting equipment are installed properly with concrete foundation and are maintained periodically. AMC schedule indicating last tested date and next tested date should be indicated on the equipment by an authorized vendor for all lifting equipment on a regular basis to check the condition of the equipment. Every jack stand at the workshop should be numbered and should display the amount of load it can lift with proper pin. Good welding condition, balance of the equipment should be inspected on a monthly basis. In case of cracks and dents, the jack stands should be replaced. In case of any malfunctioning lifting equipment or lift, a visual tagging of "not in operation, do not use" should be displayed to avoid anyone from using it. Stands must be used to avoid vehicle from falling on the employee in case of any accidental breakdown of the 2-pole post. Only designated equipments should be used to lift the vehicle to the required height. It is strictly prohibited to use external source like wood or bricks. All compressor vessel must be tested and certified by competent person at least once in a year. Once the underbody work is completed, the employees must ensure to close the underground working pit. Employees working under the lifted vehicle should wear helmet, gloves and safety goggles. Paint shop. A closed environment can be hazardous when the working area is filled with chemicals like paint, solvent, thinner, etc. Following safety measures need to be taken. The paint mixing cabin should not have unnecessary equipment and should not be used as a resting room. The cabin should have only 2 electrical connections and must be flame-proof and ensure fire extinguishers are at a reachable distance. In case any hot work need to be performed, a permit to work needs to be obtained. All flammable materials like paint, solvent, fuel, oil, etc. should be properly stored at a designated area and away from other materials. The area should be ventilated with minimum 6 air changes. The concentration of flammable materials in a spray booth or room ventilation exhaust stream is required to be maintained below 25% of the LEL, lower explosive limit. For paint shop, denting and polishing area, workers must wear nose mask, organic vapor mask for painting, dust mask for preventing fine particles, safety goggles and anti-static shoes. An eye wash station should be installed near the painting or denting area. Paint booths should be provided with interlocks to ensure safety. In case of a failure or non-performance of the equipment, it will prevent from any major hazard. List of such interlocks must be made after consulting the equipment manufacturer, documented and periodically tested. Emergency plan, fire prevention and safety equipment. Emergencies that can possibly happen in workshops are fires, electrocution, fall from height, snake bites natural calamities like lightning, earthquake, flash floods, etc. The emergency situation can change the lives in a span of seconds. Workshops must be prepared to face any kind of emergencies to avoid loss of lives and property damage. Workshop management should ensure that their workshop is prepared to face these kinds of emergencies, thereby minimizing the losses. To help workshops in achieving this, emergency response plan for all kinds of possible emergencies is developed as Annexure 10 under MMS standard. Mock drills mimicking the emergencies should be conducted once in 6 months to see that employees follow the procedures correctly. Fire extinguishers must be accessible easily without any obstruction to ensure that they come in handy when needed. All the employees shall be trained on using the available fire extinguishers. All fire extinguishers must be maintained as per Indian Standard 2190. First aid boxes must be arranged by the workshop management at the designated places and ensure that the material are available for the employees when required. Details of the first aid provided and cause of injury must be recorded. Training. Workshop management should ensure that all employees get at least 2 days of job-specific training in a year. There are less chances of a trained employee committing a mistake compared to an untrained one. Workshop management should conduct demo on the usage of fire extinguishers. First aid training program by qualified expert. 1-day induction program on safety for all the new employees. Training on the importance of using personal protective equipment and their maintenance. Training records should be preserved for easy reference. Driving safety. Vehicles are driven in and out of the workshop throughout the day and is essential to follow driving guidelines. Identified personnel with valid driving license should be given the necessary authorization to drive vehicles. An authorization can be given using license to operate format present in the annexure kit of MMS standard after discussing the necessary conditions. When there is congestion in the workshop premises, reverse navigation assistance is mandatory. Convex mirrors installed at the blind turns must be used by the authorized drivers to avoid any possible collision. Personal protective equipment. Personal protective equipment that will protect the user against health or safety risk at work. Personal protective equipment must be used according to the requirement of the task, like gumboots and rubber gloves at washing area, respiratory mask, cap, gloves and safety goggles at painting area, helmet, gloves and safety goggles while working under the vehicles, and safety shoe must be used by the employees in order to avoid accidental injuries. The management should ensure that the required personal protective equipment are available in good condition and are accessible to the employees. Signage and visual controls. Signage and visual controls warn workplace hazards and instruct employees on the proper precaution to avoid injuries. Signage and visual control such as emergency exits, PPE usage, equipment-specific hazards like electrical or rotating parts, hot surface, no smoking, etc. should be displayed in workshop. A notice board must be put in the workshop and the copies of SHE policy, audit reports, list of SHE committee members, list of drivers identified and any other communicative material needs to be displayed for spreading awareness among employees. Plant inspection and audits. The SHE audit and Critical 7 Safety Controls audits should be conducted every month by the workshop team and once in 4 months by the TML customer care. In addition to these scheduled audits, sample review audits will be conducted by SHQ, customer support, regional level and corporate SHE and sustainability department periodically. Remarks made in any audit or review should be considered and necessary actions should be taken in timely manner. Documentation and records. All the implementations must be recorded in the appropriate formats provided in the annexure section, either in hard copy, that is, papers, or in soft copy, that is, in separate folder in computers. All records of inspection, testing, audit, etc. should be preserved for at least 3 years or as required by law, whichever is longer. Tata Motors insists that a set of 7 safety requirements chosen from MMS requirement itself are implemented 100% in all the workshops without any time delay. These 7 points are the root causes of the accidents that have happened in the recent past. These points are called as critical 7 safety controls. Residual circuit current breaker or electrical leakage circuit breaker of 30 mA to be installed at washing area and body shop for welding machines. Requisite earthing must be provided to all the electrical equipment and earth pits must be properly constructed. These pits must be tested for its resistivity once in 6 months. The working of RCCBs installed and the earth pits must be checked and certified by an approved electrical contractor. If gas cutting or welding machines are used in the workshop, flashback arrestor is to be provided on torch end in 2 numbers, each at oxygen cylinder end and acetylene cylinder end. Lotto. Lotto for maintenance activities must be implemented using designated tags on machines and vehicles. Machine guarding. Guards are installed at grinding equipment, pedestrian fans, pumps, motors, compressors and on any other moving parts of the equipment present in the workshop. Authorized driving. Employees with valid driving license should be identified and be given internal authorization. Only authorized drivers must be allowed to drive the cars both inside and outside the workshop. Ground guide or navigation support needs to be taken when the workshop is crowded with vehicles. Convex mirrors are to be installed at all blind turns. Tata Motors has evolved through the years and is in the process of constantly upgrading not just its machinery and equipment, but also the methods and training program to ensure a safe and harmonious working environment for every employee of Tata Motors and also its business partners.
My safety,
My responsibility.
Tata Motors.
Pursuit of safety excellence.